Fine. Great.
Absolutely.
I'm hearing some chickens, I have to say. So, hopefully, it's gonna be changing. So this is the theater costume design class every Wednesday. We're starting today. My name is MIKA. I'm a stage and costume designer, interior designer, researcher. I think it's almost 30 years now that I've been working mostly with theater for adults, for young children, for younger people, many kinds of performances with lots of scenery, lots of puppets.
Other people have to stop. What is this?
Yes,
They have to
there's
mute the
some
call.
sound, please.
Yes, can you tell them?
Yes.
You have to go. You have to close the microphones.
Okay,
Yes,
yes.
mute. Everybody mute while she is lecturing.
Correct. Yes. Let's
Press on the left side. There is a mute.
Yes, I hope you can go back on if you need it. That's why I didn't do it. So it's not letting me. Okay, it's okay now, I think, huh? Stopped. Great. Fine. We're going on. So now it's changing, hopefully, people. 1 second. Did we change the screen?
Τώρα είσαι στο welcome everyone.
Great. That's fine. So I'm fine after this. Perfect. Very nice. So this is a very visual class. That's the way I've been teaching it for mostly 20 years for history of costume and fashion that I teach. And this is theater design, theater costume design. So I'm insisting this last years that you take some notes on paper. We don't need to sketch or anything. I know many of you are fashion designers also. We will have a chance to talk at the end. So please, I would like for you to take written notes concerning costumes, ideas, whatever you see here. I'm going not to be very fast. I know English is not the first language almost for any of us. So even though you probably know, some of you, when we are actually reading a theater play, when we are first making a discussion with the director who is responsible for everything, we talk a lot. Before images, before designs, before anything, we take notes in pencil and paper. And of all these thoughts, later, we will have costumes appearing. And the later years that we are so much into these screens as we are now, unfortunately, but this gives us a big chance that we are from so many places in the world and we can talk together. Writing down something makes you remember it, and then it gives time to your brain to actually process. From the screens, everything is too fast, and we have this idea that, oh no, I don't have to write it down. Later, I will remember it. I will go on Google and I will find it. Trust me, you will never find it because you will never remember what it was. So, we are. I'm going to start very simple. What exactly we mean by theater costume design. And theater costume design is the basis, and film costumes are based on the same ideas and concepts. So we're actually talking about both. And I'm sure in films we can connect much better, but in theater also in many plays that we all know. So costume design, we mean what the performers, the actors, the dancers, whoever is on stage, they are wearing, what they are wearing. And somebody chose these clothes for them to wear. So they have an entire presence. It's their clothing, it's their accessory. They could be wearing hats, wigs, shoes, bags. They could be of a certain, let's say, profession, so they need an extra thing. Like if he's a doctor, they might have a bag. And this entire look and style, we need to really carefully think about it. And that's where the notes come in. We describe the character in notes before we design it. Amazing or not, some people have really, designing or sketching might be easy for them. Yes, they do sketches, but you do sketches and then just by the side, you still keep notes because you'll never remember later. So it's not only the one person that's on stage. We might have 3, 4, 5, 20, 30, it could be a musical. We could have many people on stage. So this is their whole look. Now, costume design is a feeling. Yes, it is a feeling. And when you read a play, you will have a feeling. And usually that's the one that's right for you. So what do? We judge a character of a play. The writer of a play wrote a character, then a director judged the play in a different way, maybe, or in another era, or he's changing things a bit. And then the designer comes in, talks with the director, and they actually have a feeling too. So if you're watching too much, let's say, television series many times, the one thing that you should be the most interesting for you is profilers. We are profiles. We are actually profiling each other if we're watching. We're profiling people on the street. You're profiling me now that you're watching me. So we are actually seeing the details. So when we read about a character, we'll start thinking, oh, he could be like that. Oh, this person might be blonde or brunette, or of course we have specific actors, but this is another factor that will go a bit later. So costume design is very integral part of a production, of a theater production, a TV production. It's so related, very connected to stage design. Usually people are both stage and costume designer, but they can be also just costume designers. Many times, for the director, it's very important, the stage design first, because it's where the actors move. And then what they wear comes a bit second, but it's still very important. So we are all following this blue that I have here, the concept. The play, the director has a very specific concept of a play. You might read a play, and as you know, in modern theater, many times, of course, we don't follow all the details that were like 300 years ago, maybe when the play was written. So the director can tell you, oh, this play is going to be on a mountain, or it's going to be inside, or it's going to be in a garden. Totally different costumes each time. So that's where we start, the director always. So we're talking about the clothes that the characters wear. So wearing specific clothing actually, let's say, projects these feelings and their character and how they behave. It projects all this experience down to the audience. So their role is the first thing that they work on. And then when they go on to dress, then, okay, I have to move. You need to talk to me if you can't see me well. Of course, you're watching the PowerPoint, but please, if something is not well, just tell me. Okay. So, old-fashioned cameras. I mean, a big, huge television, so I can watch you all later. So great. Here is a sketch. Okay. I just found this sketch, but it's exactly how we work with the costumes. So we have a simple sketch, of course, at the beginning. This is nice rendered. It has some colors. It's from a specific play. And this is how we actually work. You might not be able to sketch, you might be able to find a picture that you like, or you might be able to make a collage or do something else, it doesn't matter. I had students that they never drew, if you can imagine, and they did everything in collage and research. This could happen also. So here we have all our little notes that, oh, I'm thinking this, I'm thinking that. It's not only what we see, because after this, imagine that we need to go to the person that will actually make the costume. So they will need extra notes. But here is a dress that it's quite clear to you. I mean, it's something more modern. In between, it has some theatrical details, of course. And all these notes help us to go on with it. So each role of every person will establish his character and his presence on the scene. I'm quite repeating myself, but I really need you to take notes, and I'm really needing you to think about all this. So regarding of what costume they wear, they can express different things, and they can be totally different in the play. So the costumes actually, and the actors appearing on stage, they will immediately, have a specific aesthetic for the whole of the play. Of course, stage design would have done that at the beginning, but still we are within a very specific concept. So, costumes that reflect the role. So a costume designer will create unique clothes. Even if they will put together clothes that already exist, it's going to be a specific outfit for a specific role. And everything that we put on somebody, few things will be not used. Usually they project out to the audience some kind of idea. So at the same time, this is a feeling. It might sound to you that it's too small. No, it's small. So at the same time, the character, we have to think as audience that this character is really comfortable in their clothes and is actually telling us something, as we would do if we met for the first time. And then if you chose specific clothes, you would want to, project your own character. So here they will say, okay, I am this person, I chose this clothes, and I am in this situation. Of course, it's totally different. Are we now times? Are we 1,000 years ago? But every time it's this kind. I mean, imagine that before the 19th century, we didn't even have specific clothes designed for a play. So they would just wear what clothes they have and, make them more theatrical or make them like an event or this is something we will talk about in the next class. So clothes are very personal. So this blue for me is most important. And it's very simple. It's something maybe we all thought, but we need to keep thinking about it. So look, clothes are something we all wear. If it's theater, if it's film, if it's every day, if it's a show on television, it's something that we all know, even if you have no relation to fashion, no relation to costume, to theater design. Clothes is something you know. And if you like clothes, you can choose them. So the audience or us, when we see something, we're like, okay, what are they wearing? This and that color. We connect to clothing more easily than we connect, let's say, to a difficult stage design that maybe we don't even know how it was made, okay? So, but the clothes are there. And say, oh, okay, this is some kind of coat, let's say. And oh my God, they made it in this way. But we know what clothes are. They're more simple than the rest of the theater elements. So usually they tell us immediately why and where and what is going on in the play. So I always say that imagine you go to a movie and you don't know what you're watching. You go to a theater play and it's actually the first time and you're not there from the beginning. Somebody took you. You don't know what's going on. So I should say when you go in and you sit at your place, somehow you should understand what it is. Is it a comedy? Is it a tragedy? Is it a horror something? Is it all black? Is it at night, inside, outside? You will get a first feeling and it should be right. Because if it's supposed to be a dark play and the clothes are not dark, then something is quite wrong, as you might know. So, design, and we especially for costume design, we need to accomplish several aspects, and they will reveal, if these aspects are accomplished, then they will reveal what the play is about, what the whole idea, what connects this play with the stage design, with the ideas of the director, with the performance, everything. So the personality of the character has to be clear. Sometimes in modern plays, I think it's most difficult. That's when I think that it's most difficult, not in an era play. It might be a small detail, but somehow the personality has to be present. Unless, of course, we have a character that at the beginning is hiding somehow of what they're going to do later, so we don't actually, but then we should understand that they're hiding something. So they will involve later. Then, the time and the context. Color, style. So, time, is it now? Is it in the future? Is it long gone? Is it from a strange part of the country? I mean, from where are these clothes? What is it? Is it winter? Is it summer? We need to understand all these things. And then, of course, there has to be some kind of unity. First, it's one character. Then there's many characters up there usually. And then they have to have a unity and they have to develop in a way. So they have to relate how they're dressed, related to action, and to all the development of the play. So, I mean, here, I will show you later, but look, here I have, all of a sudden, many, like a color palette of blue, of cerulean blue, and I have the color here. So I'm catching your attention in a way. You're looking at this and you're like, okay, what is this? How many blues do we have here? So the costumes, if they are a unity somehow, they either attract you because they're all the same or somebody stands out. So you need to think this for later on, please. So the first that we said, the character present. So costumes reveal to us information on individual characters, on their relationship, and on groups of characters. So if we have a chorus, meaning an ancient Greek tragedy or an ancient Greek comedy, where we don't have one person expressing opinion, we might have many, 5, 10, 30. Usually, we will see all these aspects later, so I'm just mentioning. Usually, they are actually dressed the same many times, or they are dressed in a similar way. And usually they express public opinion, or they are, let's say, friends of the lead character, and they speak all together, or they might even wear masks, so they look all together. So it depends. So you can have one or one of many. Now, so you have a character. You need to think of what would that character wear. If you were the character, what would you choose to wear then and for what reason? So if you love costumes, you should love theater, you should love films, you should read about films. There's many articles about actors and actresses really well known and at the beginning of the career. So many times they would say, you know what, if I had a difficult character, I would be this character all the time. I would wake up in the morning and drink my coffee as that character would. I would dress as that character do. Michelle Pfeiffer has said that in many occasions, Meryl Streep for sure, and many others. So if they have difficulties, and when they were younger and at the beginning, they were trying to feel this character. So they would do everything, dress like it. You need to get in the in the skin of the role, we say in the Greek language. So you need to be under there. So, of course, and you need to remember, sometimes they accuse me of being a lot more practical than I should. So a costume is there to aid and help a performer to best support their character. There's going to be times with really hard costumes, and it will be hard for them to move. You need to do the best for them. They need to feel well. In theater, it's not dance. So dance is a different thing, but theater, you have all kinds of ages, all kinds of characters, all kinds of shapes. They could be small, they could be large, tall, short, more kilos, less kilos. You need to design what you want, that they will feel very, very comfortable in these clothes so they can perform their best. So sometimes I've been accused to be more practical, but it helps, I can tell you. So number 2, when and where. So when we see a costume, when is it now? Which style? Is it a very specific style? Because if you see somebody dressed in Gothic fashion clothes or something like that, I hope you all know what it is. So you say, okay, this person is dark, so I can see what they are. So, but which era? Is it from another era? Is it mixed eras? That's a more difficult thing. But we have to know, is it every day? But we still have people today that go around dressed as if they were in their 50s, or they're wearing their mother's or grandmother's clothing. And younger generation now and students, they really love the older clothes. They're much well made, but you need to understand, where is this from? Now, with all the tools of the internet, even the Google, the images and everything, I hope that you can find. It wasn't so easy for us. So, 2, the overall design and aesthetic style of the play and the costumes. So at first glance, I keep saying this, the feeling you get first is the one that's mostly correct. So at first glance, they need to convey the context of the play, and it's not the context of the play, it's what the director is feeling about it. Because right now, you know that we take plays from many different eras, and we can say, okay, now I'm going to play this opera is going to be in the 1960s. So everything is going to be like you're in 1960. So this is the idea of the director, you follow that. So even many times, it could be a very specific geographical setting. Not so much in theater, but even in theater. In films, yes. So, I mean, okay, you will see a heavy costume. You will see, I don't know, boots, or you will see a fur they're wearing. Okay, it's somewhere cold. We need to understand. It's the north, probably, not the south. Not as the climate is changing, but anyway, we're saying. So a specific style, now this is very interesting. A specific style of the 18th century could suggest a historical setting. So we're saying, okay, this piece is Rococo. 18th century is Rococo era. And then a traditional dress, like a traditional costume, let's say, it might relate to another style, another climate. So, I mean, if you can recognize for some reason that it's a Romanian traditional costume, because they have like these huge flowers, I mean, in Ukraine also, you say, okay, this costume looks like the Balkans for some reason. This person is from there. Let's see why. So, this is a very simple example, okay? So I told you about a fur. So a fur, wearing a coat fur is a symbol. You have to remember this. I'm gonna make you write stuff later. But, so, go on Google, I say I want a fur, a costume with a fur. So look what comes out, okay? So we have here a play that is currently now in Athens, Georgia, in the US, and it's about a club and you probably can understand it's something with music and everything. So we have a guy here that is probably not even wearing it for the cold. I mean, in Athens, Georgia, in the United States, he's probably wearing it because wearing such a coat has a status. He's holding a cigar also. I won't go to all the details, but he's wearing a fur, okay? So this is not where he's from. He's making a statement wearing this. And then, of course, please tell me you all know, but it's Narnia, okay? So it's a film, it's Tilda Swinton. And then when I searched this, I said, okay, no, I'd like a white fur, please. So we come up with this image. So here we have a snow queen, hopefully, right? Everything is white. Even if you don't know Narnia, you should be able to read from this picture that there is a snow queen here. So the same element, which is very symbolic, in a different color, in a totally different setting. So this is how we're using actually materials, costumes, depending on what they want to convey, they could be totally different. So we have costumes that are totally from an imaginary realm, right? They're not from here and now. There's something a mind made up because of a film, because of a specific book or play. So then it's like we are reinventing new worlds. I have to tell you, this is the most creative concept a costume designer can have, to create their own world, a new one. Okay, so when the Lord of the Rings were written, Tolkien created a new world. It didn't exist. People said he's crazy. People said it was an allegory. No, he created a new world. He imagined everything. Before we saw the films, we had our own imagination reading the books, and we said, okay, these people are like this. They dress like in a specific way, or they have specific houses. And then, of course, the films came. And now we have, in our mind, we have only that image. So this is the most you can ever get, just to create costumes of a totally different world. So some costumes may seem everyday, okay? So you might seem, and then they might have a small detail that all of a sudden tells us that, no, this probably comes from the future. It's not from now. So there are films like that, and we're going to be researching this later. So this kind of concept, they could create an illusion of a new world. It's the world of the director, the world of the designer, of the stage design, and the costume design. So these costumes might not represent a specific character so much. They could present an idea altogether because it's something that doesn't exist. It's written somewhere, so it's an idea also of the person that wrote it. So this is our best challenge, our most creative moments. We can create realities. We can mix the old and the new. We can make new styles based on the past, maybe, and then go on and just create the feeling that they will connect to action, and then the audience is going to connect to them. So many times you might have, sorry, I need to, okay, I'm sorry. Many times you might have, please, if you have any kind of problem in listening or something else, you might just tell me. Okay, nice. So what happens then? So this is the most difficult. This costume of an imaginary realm would be the most difficult thing you will ever have to face, because then you will need, in a way, to create a new reality. And then you would say, okay, maybe they have clothes that have survived from their past generations. And then they put new styles, new technologies, and they made something new. So this is, you have to justify it actually. If you can justify why a costume or a stage design is the way it is, then you're always okay. So here's a costume designer. I need to, okay, I'm correct here. Thank you. So look at this costume, and I hope you think this is a statement costume, okay? It's part of a film, but this is the bullet costume, okay? So we have like a woman here that's like a warrior, and very contemporary with the wars that we have and they're going on. It's all made of bullets. I mean, how much more of a statement could somebody make? It's really to the extreme. So this is a very specific, this designer, it's somebody you should get to know about. Her costumes are very creative and they are very of another world. We will be seeing more later on. Okay, so we're back to establishing a character. So at the same moment that we're helping the audience to understand information about the character and the whole performance, the performance can find it much easier to become their character if they wear the costumes. So at the beginning, they need to find the character. They need to get in the feeling of the role. So they read their part. Then what they should read it for a long time. I mean, here in Greece, they should sit for like a month. And then after this month, they have to get up and they have to move around. So they will have to start moving as their character. And then you need to wear the costumes. Many times, unfortunately, I say that I do not give the costumes just by the 10 last days, because then they might not find difficulties here and difficulties there. So then they have to wear the costume and do the rehearsals they have to do until the play is presented. So I told you this before because it's always in the mind. It's very straight and very simple. If you walk in a theater play, if you never knew what happened, just somebody put you in there. Say, okay, go see this theater play. You have to get the idea. You need to understand if you're in the right or the wrong place. Otherwise, it's not correct, it's not good, it wasn't successful in a way, if we can say this. So, costumes have a lot of power. People wear them, live actors and actresses wear the costumes, and that costume has a lot of power. You know how many times they say that, and they only come on live then, okay? So many times I have to tell you, have you ever seen a well-known actor in the street, not in a gala, at night, all dressed up? So just see them in the morning. Now with Instagram and social media, we get to see actors and actresses that are no makeup, just straight as they would be at their house, like you and me. So sometimes you would see a character, an actor, actress on the road and say, oh my God, they don't look as large as they are. The costume makes them into the role, gives them the power to perform whatever they need to do. So, and they make everything larger than life, we say. So we have to see immediately, because, you know, actors and the roles and actresses, they're not always the correct age.
Tenta descer ainda, olha a altura do chão.
Please, somebody just mute everything. I never found it. Sorry. Let's see. 1 second.
A música entra, tu senta, Pedro.
Somebody's talking again.
Fala sentado, todo o texto.
They have to mute.
Sorry.
Everybody has to mute.
Yes, I'm gonna find this because I thought it was easier here, but I'll make the settings, don't worry. Okay, we go on. So, the costume has to enhance their age. So we have to go around and decide what age is this role and dress in a way that we want. Doesn't mean that you need to be too old or too young, but when you do casting, casting directors are my favorite thing. If I see movies, I give lots of applause in casting directors because they need to find the specific age, the specific style, or the person that is there.
Αυτός που μας γύρισε
So in
το
theater,
φιλμάκι στο Δήμο Αθηναίων
we are listening to you.
λέγεται Στέφανος Παπαδόπουλος.
Okay, great.
Είναι film director του Spa Films.
Okay, we're talking about another.
Πες μου.
We're talking, ακούγεσαι. You're
Sorry.
not muted. Great. So, this is technology, close and far. So, we have to fix this. If they're younger and we need them to be older, okay? I'm telling you simple things, but they're all part of what you will decide to actually make a costume. The gender. The gender, we have to decide if they need to look somehow, depending what they need, younger, older, if it's a woman or a man, or we have to, sometimes we have a play and we say, okay, we have a play for, let's say, for teenagers. So in the play, we have a character of a young student and a character of a young mother. They don't have much of a difference, but then we say, okay, because the other characters are boys, so okay, great. It's not that women don't wear jeans, okay, but better, put the female character in a skirt because it looks better altogether. Of course, we wear different things, but if we consider that the skirt is a symbol, we say, okay, better wear a skirt. That's simple examples like that. So occupation, occupation is not always clear, but we have symbolic characters, so you need to understand, especially for women. My God, there's another sound again. So something that comes up in plays, and it's something you will confront many times. It has to be like a doctor. We have many doctors in many plays, so they have to look somehow. We have officers, let's say, or officers of the law in many plays of the traditional theater. Somehow you need to, to see them. They could wear a hat. Do they carry a stick? This is all things that we're going to be analyzing. So, economic and social background, tricky. Tricky as we are today, not many times we can know exactly what it is, but in a play, there's a character, oh my God, this character looks rich, or this character looks poor. I'm saying two totally very boring things, but depending on what they are performing, what the play is, then you decide what you want them to wear. But all these are always there for the character. Because yes, you can tell me, I can go out there and dress up and nobody will know. Okay, but we're not talking fashion and not for us. We're talking about what we want the character to say to the audience. So we stick to that all the time. So in real life, it's not the case. You could buy cheap clothes and they could look expensive, depending on what style you want. You could be the other way around. So we don't reveal as persons many times, but the character needs to reveal. So, about revealing, so as much more information we can reveal, the better. As much of the personality, the better. It's not only what they say, it's body language. Many times we have characters that they're more silent. In films, you have to see that. Second, characters in films, you should really pay close attention to it. There, you will see wonderful things, wonderful. They are more silent, they could be just passing, and how they're dressed, and they might not even say a word, and we need to understand what is going on. So when you take the extremes, and characters that are more extreme, they're much easier to dress, of course, right? So if they're vain, if they're wearing something very flashy or flamboyant, as we say, or we need them to draw attention to themselves, yes, we have to show that it's easy. Bad characters, vain characters are easy. The most common characters are the most difficult. So they're shy, they're plain, they're dull, interesting. I'm just saying things that are very clear usually. We have to show this with the clothes. And you know, if you're here with me, and if you have any kind of interest in clothing, you don't have to be a designer, or you might just like your clothes. You can rethink from today. You can rethink what you're wearing, why you're buying it, why you like it, and every time why you're wearing it, for what reason. You could be a total different person every day, and you can still wear the clothes that you have. Fashion and costume design and dressing people, because it's a psychological profile. I think it's one of the most interesting things you can do. So here again, I just have something that is totally different from the other, right? So I have from this film, this play, Seafarer, there's just a plain person in a costume, three-piece suit with his vest and his tie. He's a bit gray, his blue tie, and there's some ideas. So there's another way you can make a costume. So you don't have to sketch. You can show things, you can research things. You could be a very good stylist in many things. If you know your eras and your styles, your thinking, so this here shows your thinking, and you decide this for some reason, and this is probably correct for this character. And look what's going on here. So I don't know if I'm putting images that are quite symbolic. I'm not saying that you know them, but this is a Shakespeare play. And I don't know if it's played now. So one of the places with most amazing costumes and plays is, of course, the Royal Shakespeare Company. And this is A Midsummer's Night Dream. And this is Puck, the character. So this is a real character and a fairy character. So, and they're both of the same gender. They could be women. I've seen plays that they're women, they're men. So it's totally different. And it's also very interesting because their costumes in this performance are mostly nude costumes. So they would wear some parts, they would be painted. I mean, they're in the woods. It's A Midsummer's Night Dream. He has feathers in his head, and this is such a nice concept for this role, okay? So it's not, we don't have to dress. There's a character that's so airy and jumping around the forest. And most of these characters, I think in this play, they're a bit in the dust and in the ground, and they're so nice. So dreamy, out of this world, totally in this world. Okay, so I don't know if the image is very clear. So this was really so interesting for me and for you. So we're still talking about how costumes have a power, okay? So they are revealing information about his whereabouts and his circumstances, right? So depending on how the role is he well posed and well ironed, and he has to be look really good? Or does he look bad? Does he look as if somebody hit him, or he was down, rolling down the ground, as we say in Greek? So Who is he? Now, here again, Royal Shakespeare Company, something very modern. And we need to work out totally our symbols in this class, and all this time we're going to be together. There's a skull on this costume. Like, it's a crazy costume, right? It's a white costume. It's sprayed. I don't know. It looks like graffiti. It's a young man. So, I mean, I should ask you here. I'm not writing it. There's a skull on his back. Could somebody connect who this character is?
Hamlet.
Ah, great. Good. Good for us. So if we see a skull, we have to connect with Hamlet. And I think this is a most creative way to connecting. I cannot tell you if I like the whole thing. I see, not this costume, I like this costume in general. It doesn't have to do with whether we like or we don't like something. It has to do that it is a totally different approach. Different. So he's not dressed in Renaissance costume. He's not holding the skull, asking whether to be or not to be in this life. It's like a graffiti on a modern suit on his back. So there you are. A whole scene of this play is actually revealed to us via the costume. Right? So this is ingenious. This is how we have to think out of the box. I'm not saying that this is this might not suit your aesthetics. This might not be relevant. In the end, maybe this were not good costumes. I'm talking about the idea and how creative this thing is. So it is very creative. Many times we will see a lot of that also in many, as fashion likes to take symbols from theater and films and everything. Many times you will see whole fashion photography concepts, and they like, because of the clothes, they kind of like to have Hamlet or how they are. So what are they doing? Okay, Hamlet is sitting on a big, on a high stool holding the skull. I say, and if we know, we say Hamlet. We might not always know. Here it's drawn on the costume. So make a note of that. So bright colors. Color is very important. It could be bright, it could be totally dull, it could be black and white. And there is something that is never wrong. It is something you will use, you have used, and it will always be in your mind. And it's not only theater costumes. So the most relevant example is color red. So red is a very strong color. It is our most, let's say, standout color. So it has to be used in caution. Okay? So if you see a play and the walls are painted red, it will drive you crazy unless that's what the director wants to do. But in costumes, if you have a lead actor, if you have a crazy actresses, if you have the most important role that you need the attention to be there, it has to be red. Or it cannot be that everybody else is red and he's white. It doesn't work. Red is where our eye just stays. And if you put red somewhere else and it's not there where it's supposed to be, it's terrible. It's like having or having elements on stage that are not used and they're just there and they're not used throughout the play. It is terrible. I mean, the audience will be there thinking, why is this clock here? Or why is this chair here? And nobody ever sat on it. So their mind will just be there. So red stands out. It's very passionate. It could be somebody notorious also, right? It's not only positive attributes. It could be negative ones. So And usually, if there's one person wearing it, it has to be with contrast with the others. So they have to be less bright, they have to be other colors, they have to create, I'm gonna show you now, they have to create a background for this red to stand out. So I just said before that if somebody else is wearing this red, don't they, my God, don't they tell you that you do not have to wear, you should not wear red if you go to a wedding because you will draw the attention from the bride? That's it. So there you are. Red, red. If I ask you, okay, if I said, tell me red costume. So you would say Red Riding Hood. I have a little girl that is going in the woods and some probably going to get killed. It's not a good story in the end, right? Or it might be. And she's wearing red in the woods, and the woods are dark, and she's wearing red. And then she goes to the grandmother that is the wolf, and the grandmother usually is in a white bed with white sheets, and she's still wearing red. And another amazing example from various films, because this is Mary Queen of Scots, but this character, Queen Elizabeth, she orders her execution because she's guilty for treason, right? So this is the whole scene, stage design, say it as you like, that she's going to be executed. And she's wearing red. She's going to be killed. They will not show us, but our mind already knows that she's going to be beheaded. So the blood will run. It's going to be red. And she's wearing not only red, her whole neckline is nice and clear here. So look, this is the other way, okay? I'm showing you from now she's turned, right? And they're all wearing black. Of course, it's like a funeral, okay? She's gonna die, but they're all wearing black. But look at the palette, okay? So it's a bit of white, the light goes in here. So light goes in here, but we have candles here. And everything is gray and dark. Films, it's something so important in films, now that everything is digital also, before too, but now that everything is digital, they are watching constantly. I mean, the art director is constantly seeing what is going on with the colors. So I just have a color palette for you here, similar, okay? And this is not so red, but here is where we are going. This is what we needed for this scene. It's a death scene. She's gonna be executed. She's the only person wearing red here. And she decides to wear red because many times you've seen something like that and they wear white because they want to emphasize the white of, you know, being innocent or something like that. But red is so much more stronger. So, let me see if I'm correct here. Yes. So I'm continuing from before. And remember, I was saying that the actors need to be really comfortable. One of the major problems you will have many times in theaters, we love the eras. Even now, we might have long dresses or long clothes. So when we have these kinds of shapes and styles, it's not easy. It's not easy for the characters. And this will go back to something I was saying before, because when we are actually doing the rehearsals, okay, at the beginning, what we do, we sit on a table, great. What do we wear? Usually our jeans and shorts and whatever we wear in our everyday life that's comfortable. But then at some point we get up and we start moving like a character. Then is the time that even you don't have the whole costume for the actor. You have to make sure that they can bring, or you can give them clothes that look like their role. So if you have a role with long skirts, And if it's younger actors, the older might have played something, but if it's younger girls, please make them wear the skirts. I had a costume for a boy, for a prince, for a Shakespeare play, and he was half pants and half long skirt with a long thing at the back. I mean, it took him many days to be able to see what's going on. So if you're having an era play or something that is modern, but they're still wearing something it's not difficult, it's out of the ordinary. You need to wear it to understand. So, I mean, we wear short sleeves or normal sleeves. Just try and wear one of those sleeves that were a bit in fashion and they're like long like this, they're Japanese or they're medieval. As what we say, it's impossible to do anything. Try go make coffee to your house. It's impossible. The sleeve will just take with it whatever goes wrong. So part of taking care of the actors is if something is difficult for them, an accessory, clothing, they need to do things, they need to drink or eat or smoke or something like this, you need to take care of them. And unfortunately, it's your job to help them and find ways that they can do it more easily. So you're wearing, I'm writing it again, if you're wearing jeans and sneakers all day long, and then you need to go play with a long skirt, very difficult. And for women, and then for men, I mean, it could be even worse. If they're wearing something really long that they have to, like a big gown or something, it's even worse for them. Make them take it home and wear it. That could be an idea. So let's, movie costumes, I'm just seeing the chat. Movie costumes can teach you a lot. Theater and movies, and that it all started at theater and then it goes on to television, it goes on to theater. I mean, the idea is the same. But when you're in a big film, if you're in an American film, there's not one costume designer, there's thousands of people there. And they're very good in their details. So we learn, we watch, and we learn. So visual costume design elements. So the costume designer needs to be in the same concept, of course, with the stage designer, but the costume is more visual. The colors are more there and clear, and the practical. Yes, unfortunately, it is a bit practical. And then for the costumes, as a part of a performance, we consider the same elements as in visual design, right? As in paintings. So it's an image there. It's an image. We're going to see many images. So it's an image and we have to see them like that. So visual design, we always talk about the line and the mass, okay? So I explain everything that's here, but I'm just saying it again. So lines, the line, the forms. What kind? Well, how is the line around something? And the mass. The mass is our body mass. Whatever it is, whatever the shape, and however it moves. Then we have composition and combination. So costumes are composed from certain elements, certain colors, like painting exactly, and combination with each other. And then we have a space within a stage. We have a space that can be easy, like it could be empty and people could be dancing on it and doing more difficult things because they're dancing. But it could have a very difficult stage design and they could be going up and down, right and left. If you're doing a stage design class, you're gonna learn about that also. And then it's not only what costume you would love them to wear, you need to see if they can move around. So this space within the stage is part of your whole idea also. And then they have their colors again, their textures. Are they light? Are they heavy? Are they clear? texture is something difficult. It's very, you might be wearing many textures and many patterns in your life, you might, but when you are in theater and something is like an image, you have to be really careful. So the movement I just said, movement in space with texture, depending on what the fabrics are also. So there we are. So let's go back. Line and mass, okay? So the designer, what he's thinking about, and their costumes of the designers, they follow some past and contemporary fashions, okay? So it could be, they exhibit specific forms of an era if they're past, and they can have certain lines of a silhouette because many times in the past, you could not see the body, right? So the body could be hidden under the lines. In our days, usually we see the lines of the people, but in past eras, we didn't. So the shape of a person in a costume combines the line and the mass. So his whole shape, okay, let's say more simple. There's no other way of saying it. So this is the most clear way to identify the time and the place of a period costume. Yes. We will also teach here a concise history of costume. Why? We need to know, so you can research, how actually all the ages, the lines and the shapes and the masses, they changed to what we are today. Pretty much today, we could be in any line, any mass, and we could wear anything, pretty much, not all the time. So according to history of costume and what the era was and how societies was, we emphasized many parts of the body, right? So we would wear corsets, let's say, and then something was emphasized, the waist or the bust or something. We hid parts, we displayed parts. So a very easy idea, a very easy example, you can think about that, is that women in past centuries could not, for any reason, it was a religious thing also, in any means, they would never show their legs. It took them long to show their legs. But in most of the eras, most of them, their necklines were really deep. I mean, they were so deep that today we would not go out in broad daylight. Yes, we would wear a nice dress maybe and the neckline. Not that it doesn't happen, okay? I'm just saying what is usually going on. So showing off legs on a mini skirts or a bathing suit is totally appropriate today, right? But then in everyday life and upon the stage, but not in other ages. Very simple. Let's have some images just to, because also visual material is much better. So think of this. And sometimes we never thought about it. So it's the 60s and it's the 770s, right? So we have all the legs out that they would never show. And then we have like the deepest necklines. Rococo era, just before the revolution. And you know what they say? They say that the deepest the neckline, the biggest the revolution. And that's what happened actually. So they were all dressed up everywhere, but they would show their neckline. Composition, again, as in drawing. So costume designer considers composition on several different levels. It's not one, it's many. So it composes one costume at the beginning. So at the beginning, if you're doing a sketch or you're doing something, the first idea would be a bit to do it without color, I would say. So first you say, okay, let's think, what would they wear as characters? Okay, we are in there, we have described the character, and we're thinking of what would they wear. So from the beginning of the play to the end, there are many plays that the characters are, this has to do with the time and the place, of course, but it could be one day. Usually, so they would wear the same thing from the beginning to end, maybe change a coat or something. Sometimes in one play, seasons change, situations change, years might pass. So then this is something you can see well in films when they want years to have passed and then they have to style the character totally differently. So, but in parallel, you don't have these people by themselves. The designer needs to compose how the entire cast will look. If you're 2, 3, 4, 5, you're okay. Then there could be more. Then it could be a musical, an opera. You need to make a plan in every single, scene of the play. How many they are, what they're wearing, and if they look good with each other. So usually we focus on central characters because it's the central action, right? So we focus on them, and many times they're the only ones that actually change, or they have more things than the rest. So it's not always the case, sometimes. So these are the most important factors when you're beginning. That's what you're thinking. This is like a dictionary here. So beginning, I'm thinking each character by themselves, and then I need to see the whole thing. And of course, you start small, you can go bigger, and you have to think that everything can be broken down, right? So if you have an opera or a musical, you might have more costumes, but usually they are one group. So they might be the same or they might be similar. You will not have 50 different ones at once, no. And we talked about the red, so leading characters usually will stand out in various ways. You have to find these ways that they stand out. Of course, they talk more or they're more dominant, but how do they stand out? Is it the color? Is it the form? Is it the accessories? And I'm not talking that they're wearing better clothes. No, that's not the case. They could be, the lead character could be a character out of the street, but still he needs to stand out. Many questions every time, many questions. Let's move. Let's see if you want to. Oh. So here is a very nice example. I searched a lot for combining things. So I'm showing you here something that you can relate to. So it's Mamma Mia, and they have all the shades of blue. Would you dress like this all together if you're in an island? Probably not. It's a theater play. And could you call this styling? Yes, these people might be styled. Could they find it in the shops? My God, it's a nightmare. If people are working like stylists, going around shops and getting clothes, for me personally, it's a nightmare. Designing them and deciding that I have so many women in blue and so many men in blue, and they have these combinations in shorts and dresses and stripes, and see how nicely, and there's everything here. There's patterns, there's stripes, there's squares, there's everything. Imagine if this was many colors. It could kill our eye. But here, everyday clothes, a contemporary play, and they're dancing around in very contemporary clothes. But don't take it lightly. It's not easy, and somebody made it. Possibly they made them all these. They ordered and they made these clothes so everybody could wear them. They're different actors of different ages, different shapes, and they all look together like this so nicely in blue. So this is a very, very good example. Movement in space aided by texture. Okay, texture, you have to think of how simple or heavy or thin is something, what they're wearing. And you have a human body from one side, you have a role from the other side, and you need to combine this. And it's fascinating for theater and for films. But for theater, you have specific actors. So director casted specific actors. Sometimes they're ideal, sometimes they're not. If they're not totally ideal, they're extremely good for the role, but their appearance is not ideal. So that's a great challenge for you, please. So there you have to make ways that they look really good on stage. And you know what, on stage, you want the texture, you want the mass and the line. You need to have a presence. So normal people is very, very interesting. So the color in the costumes will function in a similar way to the color of the stage design. So of course, stage design is a font, is behind, and depending, this is a combination. Will they blend or will they stand out? Another question. So we have to decide on the colors. If we are not the designers, the stage designers, and there's somebody else, we still need to work together. So after they have their space, they're like, okay, so what colors is going to be? Where is the theater play placed? So then certain colors will be associated for sure. I mean, different colors if it's a tragedy, different colors if it's a comedy. But then again, okay, let's think of something. Comedy, do they have bright colors? Possibly, yes. The comedy costumes might have bright colors. So then what surrounds them? What surrounds them has to be much more subtle, must be just some color that will bring out the other colors. And with of course, in a comedy, they will bring more feelings and all moods. So usually in theater, and it's not only color that it says here, costumes and color and details, we exaggerate a bit. We exaggerate because compared to life, we are actually emphasizing, we are showing you, look at this, he's holding this, he's wearing this, I'm trying to convey a meaning. So we are a bit emphasizing, and let's not forget, okay, you might be in a small theater, we will talk about the audience and the actors, the relationship between stage and audience. Are you near? Are you far? Are you in a 3,000, 5,000 outdoor theater? Totally different, okay? Totally different. So, feelings again, okay? Feelings. I hope you know what they are. 4 things by the Greek director George Lanthimos, and another version of Wednesday and the Addams Family, both loved so much by me. But please see the whole mood and the whole settings. So here, I mean, it's amazing. On the right, she's looking at the camera. She's all dressed in black. The whole thing at the background is a bit like black and white in a way. And she's looking at us in a way, okay, great, I don't want to be here. I dressed as my character and I'm trying, she's dancing here. But isn't it amazing how her whole feeling is in total contrast with the environment? And all of Wednesday's costumes, you need to see their series. You need to see the one of the past. You need to see the older one. I don't know. You need to see Adam's Family, all of them. Even the new one, it doesn't matter if you like it so much or if you don't. Here, she's a total modern Wednesday, and she has so many elements of the past, and she's creating a character for herself. And she is telling us, this is who I am, this is how I like to dress. I am morbid, I would prefer to be dead, maybe. But this is my idea of life. And then this way. So this way, we have a character that, I won't say the whole thing, but she was reborn. And she's like a baby growing up. And she's discovering life. And she's dressed in various crazy ways because she has selected costumes. She loves life like children do. Children love life more than anybody else. We tend to forget when it's later. So she's an adult and she's acting like a child loving life. And she has this dance you need. We might go in the YouTube and see it even now. And she's dancing. Okay? So her costume, her movements, her surroundings are just like a hymn to life. Totally different, two totally different characters, totally different settings, colors, moods. They could not be more different. So I'm continuing. On purpose, this first class, I put more text. I usually work with a lot of image, but this is something that we'll keep going back to all this from all that we're moving on from here. So texture in costume. So texture is different from texture in stage design. So the first element of texture is the fabric materials. So fabrics and of course anything else, but first the fabrics. So we need to know things about our fabrics. We will talk about fabrics all the times. We will analyze it. But you need to work with fabrics. If you're near fashion, you know more about fabrics for sure, and this is the time to use it. So cotton, linen, okay? They are natural. They are summery. They are light. Sometimes it's funny, like if you wear a linen shirt in the winter, it's not very, it's not correct for the time. Because usually they're a bit light, you can see through them, and they have a very nice feeling. So if you're wearing it, you're thinking of something very airy, like if you would be wearing your nightgowns or something. Think of the feeling of these fabrics. We are in times that it's very hard to find natural fabrics, and we wear clothes that are totally chemical made. So we have lost these feelings. And many times there on the theater, we need to show this. So satins and silk, okay? Shiny things. They are smooth and they are shiny. They're airy also and they're luxurious. So satin is not a kind of material. Satin is a kind of weave. So you could have satin that is synthetic, but you can have satin that is cotton satin or silk satin. So satin is the way they're weaved, double, 3, 4 times this way and that way. And because the weave is so tight, that's why it's shiny. So when you're talking satin, just be careful what you're saying. You need something that's nice and shiny, probably. Wool and velvet. So wool and velvet first, heavy things, right? Warm things, like the fur that we saw before. So that's what you will use them. Terrible for the actors, they get really warm on stage, but you might need to have the idea of wool and velvet. If you need it, you need to use it. So handmade lace, let's say. Handmade lace is very textured. All of these are very textured. Lace is very thick if it's handmade or if it looks handmade, and it will be for a very specific reason there to convey specific ideas. Anyway, things like wool, velvet, or lace are very dominant. I would put the fur here also, because they show us that somebody has the means to have these. So there's hundreds of materials. Even the last 20 years, there's materials we can find that we never had before. So we have fabrics and textiles, we have felt, that is a non-woven material, leathers, plastic materials, plastic leathers, furs, fake furs for sure. We have feathers, accessories. I mean, I could go on forever, but I'll do it when we're talking with images. So all these different materials, they will create for you different textures when you need them. So many times you will not need one dimension, okay? You will need more dimensions. Okay, somebody is leaving, okay. The more dimensions you will need for something, you will need more things to combine. And I have to tell you, exactly 20 years ago that I did some very difficult costumes for the theater of era costumes, we could not find materials that were already manipulated some way, okay? But after the year 2000s, and now we can find textiles that are already sold and they are manipulated. I mean, they have 2 dimensions, 3 dimensions, they have pleats and folds and crazy styles. And it's something that will take you forever to make and use, but you can find them ready now. And of course, new technologies, but theater many times doesn't have all the money for something like this. We have laser cut fabrics, but now we just find them ready. Maybe you needed a fabric and it had, I don't know, stars, holes, or it was a leather. Now you can buy it ready. So much more helpful and less cost. Movement. Okay. So movement is an element of visual design only in art forms. Okay. Art forms, installations, let's think, they could move during, an event. Could be a video, a film, theater, kinetic sculpture, something. So movement combined with texture might come up with different things. So very simply, not in a dance theater, just in a normal theater, maybe in the play you have a love scene or you have a dance scene there. So there all of a sudden, you've got a character that you can see, maybe she's just wearing a dress, let's say. Doesn't look something very special, one color. And then she has a scene and it's a love scene and you would really like to focus on that. And what do you decide to do? If she moves and if she dances, she can reveal different colors, different shapes coming out from her skirt, let's say, right? So something when it's standing and it's not moving could be different. And then if it's moving and running and dancing, but in a play, I'm still talking of a play, they could be different. And that's very, very interesting. So light fabrics, loosely woven fabrics that look like, jumpers or handmade. They might be wool, but then they might, if they have holes and everything, they might seem very light. So sometimes you can contrast yourself, right? So you're using leather or you're using a woolen sweater, but it's so lightly woven that still it looks like something very airy. This is something you will make and this is something you are the only person that you could imagine something like that. So many times we had a play and it was two eras combined, 9 actors, 9 huge costumes with many colors. Each actor had their color. Great. Okay, if you start from there, stage design has to be empty. I mean, or have very minimal movement. So the costumes by themselves, moving around in the space, they will create your design also. And so they won't need anything else. Because by acting and by showing off like an era costume, you're right there and now. You might need nothing else but by 2 chairs maybe. So it's not like the real era. So if you had somebody in Rococo with really heavy costume, you might not even need anything else behind him. So here is movement and lots of combining things. This is the great showman, but this is something very specific. It's film and it's the circus all together. So I would say that the circus combines so many elements of what we're talking about. And this is films that are so full of costumes and colors and designs. Maybe something is digital, that's another story, but please. So here, even though it looks complicated, see how they've kept their color palette in a way that visually it's nice for your eyes. And who is the central character? Here is the guy in the middle, he's wearing red. There's other red going around, of course, it's a circus. I mean, you can't have a circus without red. But without even seeing the costumes, just, you know, it's a visual thing. See how the whole composition, combination, textures, and everything, they look good together. Not easy. So, we need to say some things, totally practical, from creation, designing, and practice. So, the first tools of the designer, of course, are the textiles, right? So, you have textiles, many materials, more new, more old. Sometimes you might need textiles that you can find. You cannot find them, they're of a different era. You cannot create them, okay? You're not the film industry. You need something old. You will need any vintage shops you can find, not to take something ready, but many times just to find a specific textile that you cannot find or you cannot create, or the feeling is not right for you for some reason. So, I mean, stage designers also, I'm both, but costume designers have to be very good hunters. You are hunters. I have to say that. So, sorry, I have a system message here, but I hope I'm okay. Okay, so there are many ways of making costumes, of making accessories. You can do them by hand, you can do them by sewing machines, you can even do them by hot glue gun if you need to just add here. Glue gun will never go off from fabric, I have to tell you that. Anything you want to elaborate with, you can do it. If you're a stage designer, you'll find yourself making hats and making shoes decoration, and it all depends to the production, but theater is not an easy profession. Unless you're at the National Opera or the National Theater. Here in Greece, maybe we have like 1,000 plays, 1,000 theaters, from smaller to larger. Very inventive you have to be in finding and making things. And I think stage costume designers are one of the most creative professions, because as you go in life, when you begin, it's not the same, but as something like this, just get better. You keep finding things and you get new ideas. Again, saying the same thing again. Thoughts, ideas, creation have a sole purpose to serve the actual body of the actor and the actress. And because this costume will never exist without them. So if you just make them and you take a picture of it and it's hanging on the wall, it's dead. A theater costume needs a live actor, actress to wear it. So they're so nice when they're on stage and they're so alive. If you see them without, if you see costumes, like when you see costumes in an exhibition, let's say, fashion costumes or theater costumes or film costumes, I have to tell you, they take so much extra work in order for a dead object like a mannequin to wear something, and in order to look good. It looks terrible usually. You need for somebody to wear it. I make all my students that they do projects with me to actually wear them or make their classmate wear it. When you wear it, you understand a totally different aspects of it. So, Royal Shakespeare Company here. We're coming to the end, but we have some thoughts, I mean, of the presentation, not our hours. So here, what you can see, so all of a sudden, you can see a man and a woman. The costume of the actress is an era costume. Okay, it's a Renaissance, it's Rococo probably, doesn't really matter exactly, but it's not in an environment that is according to the costume. The costume of the actor, the way we see it, we don't understand what it is. Is it a long robe? And from they don't have lots of makeup and they don't have lots of accessories. So from the man, we cannot understand. And in total contrast with all this, we have something that is totally imaginary. There's like a bowl on the floor and there's water coming down. So we could make up, I don't know, 20, 30 different stories from how many we are here. So not always. The background and the costumes, they don't always tell the whole story. Of course, I just took a picture here and I'm showing it to you to analyze it and see how at this point it's a bit strange. We need to see the whole play, all of the costumes, and decide why somebody chose to put them like this in this specific position in this specific environment. Okay, because next week I'm going to be away in another, that's why it's not on your calendar, or even the link is there. We're not having a class next week, we're having one the week after. We have a very, very small, before we discuss, we have a very small exercise, and hopefully I'm showing you two symbolic images here. And I have to tell you, I have younger people, younger generations, that they are interested in fashion or theater or costumes. And for the strangest reason I don't understand, because they don't read or they don't see films, they might not know who these characters are. And these are characters and they are symbols and they are icons. So here, of course, on the left, we have Audrey Hepburn, from Breakfast in Tiffany's, a film. And on the right, we have a specific figure of Charlie Chaplin. I think maybe he's stronger. We still see him on books, on accessories, on t-shirts, now even many costumes and many characters that are, you know, very well known in fashion or films. They're on our shirts and clothes and everything. Not easy. So what I would like from you to do, very simply, whether you know them or you don't, it doesn't matter, is that it's a very simple research exercise. Research meaning that you can take notes, or you can find pictures, you can put them all together, or you can just talk about it. So on the left and on the right, Audrey Hepburn and Charlie Chaplin. So regarding the actress, if you haven't seen the film, at the first, it would be really nice to actually tell us, no, not now, for the next time, in 2 weeks. So it would be really interesting if you don't know them or you haven't seen the films, okay? So it would be really, really nice to write down some notes of what feelings they convey for you. So I knew who the actress was. I knew the existence of the film, okay? Breakfast in Tiffany's. And I have to tell you that I saw it very late. I mean, I didn't see it when I was younger. I saw it maybe 10 years ago. I read about it. It was in New York. I've seen pictures, but I never saw the whole thing. And I have to tell you, I had a totally different idea of what it was going to be and what it was. So you have a character and she's all dressed, maybe sparkling dressed at night. This is the strange of things. She's all dressed for a night out. She's wearing jewelry from Tiffany's, shiny things. She's this wonderful Audrey Hepburn character anyway, because you need to read about the character, about the woman also. And then please go and find out, if you don't see the film, just read about it. It's totally different. Why on earth is she having breakfast at Tiffany's all dressed up like that? I mean, what we would guess, what would happen? So the real story of the film is totally different from our first impression. And you may even know it. If you don't see it and you don't know the story, you have no idea. So the book is very nice. The story is very nice. And all the meanings that are coming out. So I would like from you a small research of what you thought, of what it actually is, and what you think about the way she was presented. And different way now. Charlie Chaplin. Okay, he's an icon. Silent movies. He's dressed the way he is. I hope you know what he brings with him, how he's dressed, but I need you to find out. Why was he walking like that? What did he want actually? I mean, Charlie Chaplin's body movement was so strong. I mean, he never went well with the talking cinema. So this is very, very interesting. And this happened, you know, with many films and actors, because when they actually talked, many things disappeared. So silent films are a big school, I would say, because they are conveying all the meanings with just a few words from down, not talking, with their body movements, with their expression, and with their costumes, actually. Let me see the chat. Yes, I'll go back to the picture. And 1 second. Tell you. Sorry. Let me see what's up there. No, I'm going back. Okay. So I'll tell you a funny story. In Greece, many years ago, this I picture here, the lady, she's on the wall of our classroom in a fashion school. And I have some students that are very, very young. They just came, they haven't been enough inside there. They were from outside of Athens. And there's many black and white pictures in the class from the owner. And this is very iconic. It's there. And she's like, she's talking to me. She's like, oh, could you please tell me? I think I know this woman, but who is she? And she's talking to me and she's telling me two leading ladies from the Greek theater. One lady that is one actress that's a brunette and one actress that is a blonde, totally blonde. Two actresses in Greece, long gone now, but they were the same age, young and everything. They were everywhere. And I'm asking, oh my God. I'm saying, you don't know actually who that woman in the picture is? She's like, no, I think it's one of these Greek actresses, but could you tell me? And I'm like, okay. And at that point, I'm thinking, of course, that was before social media and too much visual information. And I'm like, okay, great now. We have an image, it's symbolic. She doesn't know who it is. And then even worse, she's talking to me about two of the most well-known actresses in Greece, that they're all over television. Their parents were watching. Her grandmother was watching probably. So she doesn't even know who those people are. And she is interested in costumes. It's a bit of a problem. It's a bit of a problem. I hope she went on and we told her more and put things in place, but there's no class and there's no presentation that can be, in a way, can teach you everything. It's not possible. You need visual material. You are visual people. You need to know all what's going on, all went back. It's very hard. It's very hard. And we will be seeing films here. On the best part of era films was between, I think, 1990 and 2010. They're doing some nice things now, but it's even earlier than that. Yes. Elementary things is because it's a trick. It's a trick that we have a very strong tool that is our phone or our computer. And it's a not correct perception that we could find anything we want. Thinking that we can find anything we want, we never actually take notes or learn it by itself, by ourselves. So how much? I mean, how can I? Theater costume designer, stage costume designer, director of a theater or a film, it's like putting maybe 5 professions together. It would be best if I could know history of architecture, history of arts, history of music, history of, in general, society, and then history of fashion, and any other history of our presence on this earth in order to be able. Yes, we need to go back to the library, Dragana. We need to, for sure. So I still have a bit more time, and this is our, one second, please. Okay. This is it, and for here, let me, if There we are. Still looking at the chat here. Okay. So yes, we need to be in a library, or if we're seeing something, I mean, you could be doing something else instead of putting on the television. Just try to put an era film. Anything, please. Just anything. After 25, 30 years here, I could never tell you where inspiration comes for. And I teach a class that tries to teach creativity and inspiration. How is that possible? I don't know. We are trying and we are succeeding, I think. So what will trigger your imagination? You are the only person that can find this. So if today you wrote 10 things down, if today you found one thing that you didn't know before, go and search for it, because this is what we used to do. And it's so much easier now, but we were like, oh my God, what is this? Where is this film? Find it. He's talking about a book and I have not read it, my professor. Where is this thing? I have to see it. There's an image there and I've never seen it before. Oh my God, I have to go and find it. There's no other way of doing this. And I think the only reason I'm teaching and I'm going on, it's because I like it and because I'm trying to find all these creative new ways. You need to get inspiration from around you, from outside, from every day, but just keep away. Yes, please. Somebody has a question. But keep away from things that are just time-consuming for no reason. Chaplin movie, yes? Thousands of Chaplin movies, I would say. It's modern times. Yes. But I mean, the figure of Chaplin, his figure, the way he looks, this is his most iconic. Even in other movies, he would again dress like that. And even, you know, the way he walked was not taught. It happened because of other reasons. You're going to find that. And many times, I mean, there's era films going on now, like on Netflix or on other platforms that you have around you. But the new ones are not the same quality. If I'm showing you, I'm going to be showing you films for each era. So those films, maybe you cannot find them. Maybe you can find some trailers, or maybe you can find images, but stick to those in a way. Some of the new ones are there to help us. They're there to help us. And we will try to connect all the history of costume and all the, let's say, the characteristics of each era and how they help us in theater. Because for sure, in modern theater, if it's not ballet that's so stuck into sometimes the specific plays, they just do them in specific times. I've worked a bit with classic ballet, and it's a bit crazy. They just want to, you know, it's a specific play in a specific setting. They won't do anything else. Specific choreography also many times. But in theater, the same play could be in 1,000 eras, could be modern, old. Opera is a bit more extravagant also. In opera, we passed this fashion that everybody would like, oh my God, what's the nicest era to be in? Oh, the nicest era is mid-war, as we say here, the 40s. 30s, 40s, between the two wars. Okay, enough of mid-war era. We've had enough of that. And it's an opera. Okay. So theater is like the starting point zero. In a theater play, we are so attentive to dress a character as he needs to behave. And especially if the challenges are difficult. Other shapes, other ages, and then we just need to have them up there. And act what they need to do. So I would like, if you need to talk, if you need to have a question, and we will be together in 2 weeks. I have sent you an outline, a draft outline, okay? And I hope that this summer you will have time to do some small projects. And then in September, if we need 1 meeting or 2 meetings, we will see all your projects. We are a good number here. I don't know what's going to go because, classes, you could miss a class, but they're not autonomous. They're not. They're one after the other. So if you're interested, it's good to be here. We will have, so if we need, we will be ready to have a theater project by summer. And you will have some classes with some friend designers from Serbia, and they are fashion designers, and they're very good in presentations, and they're very good with fashion and films and eras of the 21st century, and the designers there that dressed films so well. So you will have some sessions with them also. And if you need to say something, or if you have a question, now is the time. That's why we have this. Usually in 2 hours we'll manage, but we have more time.
Mika, in 2 weeks.
Yes.
In 2 weeks, you will meet again?
Yes.
Not next week?
Not next week, it's not possible. We will do it in 2 weeks. We already have a schedule.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. So in between, we have this small project. You could ask something if you need regarding that, or any other. I'm going to ask if anybody worked with theater before, costumes. The answers to the email, yes, but we will present also. We will present also I will go back to the assignment. We will present them also here, some of them, in order to talk about it. Okay, I will talk about it. Yes, Anos, please. What is the question? I don't know how to do that. Okay, okay.
I want to ask, should we create this assignment on a PDF or PowerPoint?
Depending on what you know. So you could, the assignment is a little part research. You know better, we've done it before. So you can research some images about these characters or the film, and then you have a little part where you write actually. So you describe your findings, okay?
Okay, so it's up to us to...
Yes, you might present it in 3 slides of a PDF or 3 slides of a PowerPoint, let's say.
Okay, are you going to send us an official email as well, or no?
I can just put it again, the 2 pictures with what I'm asking, so you can have it in an email.
No, I'm asking because Mr. Kamtsis sent to us yesterday the assignments for his next week class.
Yes, I can send it to you, yes. By tomorrow, I can just send it to you again. The assignment right now is more research. So if you know it, yes, I will. If you know it, find more things that you don't know. You will be amazed. If you don't know it, find why you don't know it and what is going on. So who are the characters, why they dress like that. The film, I wish you can find the film to see it. If you can find Breakfast and Tiffany's, yes, you can see it. It's very interesting What is most interesting, I have to tell you, if you haven't seen the film, your idea of the film, or from what you will actually see, we could have a wonderful discussion. And if we are like 30 like this, it's wonderful. We can talk. I mean, right now I have my huge TV. I can see all of you. You can talk with cameras or not, no problem. I have no problem. So it doesn't have to be, we're not going to, in all these, any small or big assignments, people are not asked to do things they don't know. So we're not going to learn how to draw here if we don't. But we can learn to research and we can learn to understand. So, yes, please, if you haven't, please, if you haven't seen the films, you will like them. Just see one Chaplin film, okay? The modern times, let's say. But the Breakfast in Tiffany, you need to see it as a critical thinking, okay? Critical thinking. That's something I didn't put in here. Critical thinking just lives with us. And if we are considered designers, we are visual people. So we're like critical thinking around us, like all day long, even when we sleep, I would say. Drawing, no. Okay, you don't have to. You can do collages. You can do research. You don't have to do something. So, yes, please, watch the films, have an idea. And I'm very interested in the things you will discover that you didn't know about, okay? I'm still finding things that I didn't know. So find things that you didn't know about the character, his clothes, why was he dressed? What did they think at the beginning that they wanted him to be like this or the other, let's say Chaplin? The same with Audrey Hepburn. I mean, she's all dressed up and she's having breakfast at 7 o'clock in the morning in a jewelry store. That's a contrast of a stage to costume design, I would say. So we're pretty much okay here. Any other living illusion? Okay, great. My dog coming in. There's still time for many illusions to find new ones and then discard the ones that we don't like. So we are, when we have a rehearsal at the theater with all the actors, and then we'll start getting in a play, and then we will have to do the costumes and everything. I have to tell you that my idea of the process, including costumes, is like group therapy. So this is what it is. We are profiling, we are imagining, we are hoping to dress roles in appropriate ways and be successful with that. Okay, then, we are done here. We have concluded. I will see you, I will send you the email, and the link is still going, so it's not, I'm gonna say it's not for next week. You have the plan, please. You all have the plan, right? Attached in the previous, in Sunday's email, but I'll do it again. So some people are leaving. So Yelena, something? Yes, please. Yelena, did you want to ask something? I saw a little hand here, but I'm not. You need to unmute yourself, probably. Or you're just saying goodbye.
Stop recording, Mika.
Okay. Let's see here.
So I want to, sorry, I want to